YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 that relates to you and I, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinco. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I.
Hello, everyone. This is the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Sena, aka Alinco. Today is May 30th, 2021. We are glad to be coming your way. This is the Finding the Balance edition of the Progressive Mind Show. We're here every Sunday, 2 to 4 CST, and Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST. Today, we're going to be talking about the people from BHM, Black Heroes Matter. This is a team that has been charging the force or the campaign to rename Lakeshore Drive to Lakeshore Drive to the DUSABLE Drive, and we are glad to be talking to the team, the leading team here. So it's a huge coalition, but we're going to be talking to the leaders here. We apologize for the slight delay in start today of our show and the technical glitch that we have been experiencing. So please bear with us. And once again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Progressive Minds Show right here in the beautiful city of Chicago. Today's discussion is on the attempt to rename Lakeshore Drive after Chicago's founder, Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE, as I said. In the discussion, we would look at, basically, this has been making the news for the past few weeks. This team here and the coalition have been on this, having meetings, going on demonstrations, and it has been intense. As a community building show concerned about everyday lives people, we deem it befitting to bring this topic to the forefront for discussion. Actually, we must say this is the second time we're doing this. They have been on the show a couple months ago when the coalition just started. This issue has been, now we are here today. We are here today after the first show. Today we want to, we have the panelists from the Black Heroes movement, Black Heroes Matter movement here who are going to be helping us with the discussion. So for those who don't know, AKA for Black Heroes Matter is BHM. They are here to discuss with us their motives for the Black Heroes Matter movement and why we should rename Lakeshore Drive after Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE specifically. Without doing too much talking, let us go to our panel this evening. We have Martin. Okay, so everyone is in the house. Awesome. Good. Folks, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Okay, so we do have Martin's. I'm always tempted to call him Martins International because that's the popular. He owns the Martins International. It's a very popular, huge organization, and so that's a temptation. But Mr. EPHRAIM Martins is the sole owner or the CEO of Martins International. Of course, he is also the owner of IRAWMA, an international reggae music awards organization. He also owns CMA Chicago Music Awards. He's also he also owns IFOL International Fest of Life, one of the biggest festivals here in Chicago, and then the JSVFEST also owned by him. And like I said, he's the chairman of the BHM coalition. Martins, he's not a stranger on the show. You are welcome, sir.
Yes. Let me say good afternoon to each and everyone listening. It's indeed a pleasure to be on your show again. It's the show that the progressive people and others always tune into to know what's going on and to get updates on African, Caribbean, American issues. We're here today because
now yes. I want to introduce the other powerful guest, who is Justice SHELVIN Louise Marie Hall. She is a retired justice at the Illinois Appellate Court. Honorable Justice SHELVIN, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Delighted to be here.
My pleasure. She's also, I'd like also to make our audience understand, she's the political committee chairperson for the BHM coalition. On the bill also is MARILYN Hall, right? No, sorry. MARILYN May. MARILYN May is the communication co-chairperson of BHM. MARILYN, you're welcome to the show. Can you hear us? Okay. We are now TREMELL Williams is the chair of entertainment and youth of BMN, chairman of entertainment / youth of BMM MELLO. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. I want to thank you for having me on, for having us on Black Heroes Matters Coalition. I know you had Mr. Martin on a few months ago.
Yeah.
So it's great to see some of the other chairs, some of the other people that's helping this coalition roll. Progressive Mind Show. I'm happy to be here.
Brilliant. There's a lot to unpack today. So share the feed if you're watching live on Facebook. If you haven't done so yet, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk to this great guest. But please share the feed on Facebook and on YouTube because this message has to go out. Renaming the Lakeshore Drive to DUSABLE Lakeshore after the founder of Chicago. DUSABLE is a huge conversation, not only in Chicago, but for the entire Black race. So we need your participation, your contribution, and your support. By so doing, you can share the feed now on Facebook and on YouTube while we take this short break. We shall be right back. Okay, welcome back. I would like to do the ladies first protocol here. Okay, so EPHRAIM Martin is the chairman of the coalition. I know he has great updates for us, but let's start with Justice Shelvin. In a nutshell, why are we here today? If you can just and then if you want to give us a second, if you want to take a second to tell us more about your background, some stuff that you want our audience to know about you, please go ahead and do so.
Well, thank you very much. I have recently retired from being a judge for 30 years on the judiciary in Illinois, initially on the circuit court, and then for some 22 years on the Court of Appeals. But immediately since then, I've been active in the Black Heroes Matter Coalition. EPHRAIM Martin is the founder and the visionary who created the coalition. It was my pleasure to create the name. And we've been working for more than a year now, since right after George Floyd's murder, to bring attention to the fact that we wanted to do three things for Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE. DUSABLE is the Black Haitian founder of the city of Chicago. Back in 1779, he created a trading post right at the mouth of where the Chicago River and the Lake Michigan converge. He had a trading post there. He built a fabulous home with mirrors and art paintings. He had a mill, a farm. He had stables and at least three other buildings that he had created and built from the ground up there. So he was there and set and stable and doing business as an entrepreneur, and people came from all over. The English, the French, the indigenous people all came to his trading post. And so he was the founder of the city of Chicago and is recognized as such by the city of Chicago on paper. But there is very little visibility in the city of Chicago that Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE ever walked here, ever lived here. And so this coalition thought that at this time that it was way past time for us to highlight the fact that this Black man needed to be honored in a very prominent way. And so this coalition said, we've got three goals. We want to join with Alderman David Moore, and who has an ordinance since trying to get through city council since 2019, join with him to rename Lakeshore Drive to Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE Drive. We wanted to build a giant 25-foot monument in Grant Park. And thirdly, we wanted to change the holiday from just an observance in DUSABLE's name to a full city holiday. Those were our 3 goals. And since that time, we've been working and going to city council, to the committee hearings. Every member here on this coalition that you see before you, and many others, to bring to the forefront to the city council our support for renaming Lakeshore Drive and to DUSABLE Drive, and the other 2 goals. Mr. Host, we can't hear you. Alinco?
Yes, I think, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
All right, please bear with us today. We just one of those challenges when it comes to, online programming. Our world has changed now, so everybody's trying to, so I think there's a lot of traffic today. But let's continue the discussion. I want to go to Marilyn. I know we're having technical issues with your feed, and so hopefully you can get in. I think your location has something to do with it, but we'll keep trying. But Martin, Justice Shelvin has given us a good background, a good summary of why we're here today. Help us recap what has transpired since the first time that we got on this show to talk about this whole collision, the BHM.
Okay, did we have Marilyn? We lost her.
I think Marilyn, let me see here. I think Mello just joined us. His feed is just restored. Mello, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had got knocked off. I don't know why, but I'm back.
That's fine. So I was just asking Martin that from the first time we talked about this, I think we were in the beginning stages. So maybe just give us a summary of what has gone on then and where we are today. Okay,
so for the people who may not have known and may not know the objective of what's going on.
Right.
Over the years, for over 25 years, we have been seeking greater acknowledgement for the founding father of Chicago, Jean-Baptiste Pointe. In short, following the death of George Floyd, we stepped up the campaign. The pain was too much to take, and we thought it was time to fully give Jean-Baptiste Pointe the full respect he deserved. So last year, 1 year ago, we kicked off the drive and the campaign to recognize and to give, for the city to give the full respect to Jean-Baptiste Pointe with the renaming of Lakeshore Drive as DUSABLE Drive. Let me say, at first, we were trying to get a Columbus Drive, but as because we know that we remember that trying to get DUSABLE earlier, in 1993, kind of failed along the way. But after David Moore, Alderman Moore told us that a few months earlier, he had proposed and had sponsored an ordinance to rename Lakeshore Drive. We joined force together in July and pushed to rename Lakeshore Drive as DUSABLE Drive. We also called for a city holiday, a full city holiday for Jean-Baptiste Pointe DUSABLE. Along with a 25-foot minimum monument for DUSABLE. We have been pushing nonstop since that time. Most of the people on the line right now, they have been they were very outstanding in calling on the city each week, each day, whenever possible, whenever there was a meeting of any of the council committee. These people you have on the phone right and this conversation right now, they were a part of it. So we have pushed over the last roughly 12 months to rename Lakeshore Drive DUSABLE Drive, and for all the other things that we are pushing for. Let me say I'm pleased to know that as we were about to vote and the call for Lakeshore Drive as the DUSABLE Drive last week or earlier this week, it was blocked by 2 aldermen and of course the mayor, who shortly after blocking it, the mayor announced her plan for how to honor DUSABLE using our push, with the same thing we're calling for. So let me say we're very pleased to see that the mayor is now willing to adopt our campaign and to say, yes, she will support it with 30 million. However, what she didn't mention as yet to confirm was Lakeshore Drive. And Lakeshore Drive, the renaming of Lakeshore Drive must be the larger part and the greatest part of the drive for DUSABLE. So in addition to Lakeshore Drive, we welcome the mayor offer and for the 25-foot monument or greater and the city holiday among anything else the mayor that may want to offer. But the most important thing right now is to rename Lakeshore Drive as Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE Drive. Then once that is done, we will gladly accept the other offer, whichever way the mayor will do it for the 30, 25 or more. It sounds like she wants to make it larger than 25 feet, and that would be great. But we want to make sure that Lakeshore Drive next month will be renamed Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE Drive, and that the mayor will freely allow the vote to go through for that to happen. Because we know that had she allowed the vote last Wednesday, today we'll be talking about it is official, Lakeshore is now Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE Drive. So the message we want to send to the mayor is please not to interfere with the vote on the 23rd of June. Allow the other person who are elected by the people to cast their vote and vote one way or the other. But please allow the vote to go through. Once that is done and the DUSABLE Drive is confirmed, then we can get on to the other part of the discussion.
Thank you. There are some things there's some points that you mentioned that I was going to ask earlier, but we will still try to reiterate. I will try to go to those things, which is the mayor's proposal and all of that. But MELLO, as the entertainment chairperson / youth, when we spoke, you made mention of the demonstration or some type of walk that the coalition was going to embark on yesterday. Yeah, today's Sunday, so yesterday. Can you elaborate on why that was and how did it go?
Yeah, well, when we did, I think we spoke after the same day that the vote was going to be casted.
Yeah, before you continue though, I'm sorry. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? I know you work with the coalition, but a little bit more about who MELLO is aside working with the BHM.
Okay, yeah. So aside from working with Black Heroes Matters, I do actually work with Martin, Martin's International, one of the production coordinators for the festivals and some of his major events, such as the Chicago Music Awards, such as the International Festival of Life, as well as the Jerk Seafood and Vegan Fest. And I have worked with him on the IRAWMA Awards in Jamaica. Outside of that, I do have my own talent management and brand company, Elite Mind Management, as well as I do have an indie record label here, Project One Elite Mind Records. So essentially, I do a bunch of different stuff in the entertainment field, behind the scenes, and also been into social activism for a long time. Prior to this, I've done marches and protests for Stop the Violence. I've done hip hop related conventions and rallies and marches, etc. So it's nothing new to me as far as having a cause and believing in that cause and raising raising my voice about it and the people that can that can make some changes. So I'm happy to be a part of this coalition. So to answer your question, did speak. It was directly after Wednesday, after the vote didn't actually even get casted, right, when the mayor put her political shenanigans. So we did plan to just do a demonstration, and we were actually planning to do a demonstration Saturday, whether the vote passed or not. So that was always planned. So yeah, we did something just in relation to in relation to our movement, our initiatives, as Mr. Martin, Chairman, has iterated our 3 different initiatives. So this particular rally or protest, it was for more so just to either celebrate and to let people know, hey, that Lakeshore Drive has been changed, or to even just let people know, hey, it hasn't been changed, and this is the reason why it hasn't been changed. And also we wanted to position ourselves in a place downtown where I ran across hundreds of tourists yesterday who just come and visit the city, who didn't know anything about who DUSABLE was. They never heard of him. They didn't know Chicago was even founded by a Black man. And they had no knowledge as to where the vote was actually going to be casted for the changing of Lakeshore Drive to DUSABLE Drive. So more so for me, it went pretty good because I was able to actually have real conversations with people who are on the streets, give them information about our cause and initiatives. And a lot of people were for it, and then we have some people who were, obviously who were resistant to it. So I think it went great as far as just continuing to let people know, to make them knowledgeable of what's going on in the city of Chicago in relation to DUSABLE.
Thank you. That's a great response. Being also maybe the chairperson, the coordinator for the youth wing of this whole coalition, what is your observation of the youth or the millennials' involvement in this coalition? The reason why I ask is a lot of times when it comes to some of these issues, again, young people are involved, but the demographics is what sometimes we want to look at. But in general, how has the response from the youth when it comes to this movement?
Just to be totally honest and transparent, I think it's been mixed. It's been mixed because a lot of youth are unknowledgeable. They do not know who DUSABLE is. They did, similar to, like I said, with just meeting regular people who aren't from Chicago. We have a large sector of people, youth of all colors, who just have no knowledge of who DUSABLE is. And then we have so once they are educated and do find out about it, they do show interest, and a lot of them have supported by way of signing a petition and things of that nature. We are planning to target the youth more and try to see how we can get them involved or even spike their interest a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the ones who have been finding out about it have been, they have taken the information, and a lot of them have acted. But, we do have a large sector of people who just don't care, right? They feel like, to be transparent, a lot of people feel like that, especially some youth feel like, hey, it's not that big of an issue to them, right? Because we still have police brutality. They're still getting harassed by the police. So they feel like some of the other more pertinent, tangible issues that they can see may have their attention a little bit more than this. But that's just being transparent. So we just have to figure out ways to reach those who actually would be receptive to the message and support.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm tempted to ask what the strategies are to achieve what you just said in terms of getting the youth, but maybe we'll come back to you. Justice Shelvin, I think EPHRAIM and then MELLO, also supported. EPHRAIM made a point, and MELLO actually mentioned it too, in terms of the mayor's shenanigans. What exactly is that? Because perhaps I think I've joined part of some of your meetings prior to, when we started the deliberations. One of the meetings the mayor was on, she was actually showing her support and listening to you all. So it seemed like she was in support. So if you say shenanigans or she pulled a stunt and all of that, what exactly is that? And why do you think that happened, Justice Shelvin?
Well, if I could, Alinco, just follow up very briefly on what TREMELL was saying about the youth. Yeah. I think by virtue of the very fact of having this road renamed as DUSABLE Drive would be an eye-opener to our young people who are on it all the time, to ask the question, well, who is this DUSABLE? And to find out and pique their curiosity and let them know that it was a Black man, who created the very city that you live in, that you call home.
Absolutely.
And that is a really primary reason, a very good reason to heighten the awareness of DUSABLE for our young people, so that they can take pride and they can have a part of the honor of knowing that it was someone who looked like them who started all of this. And so I think that's a really important part of it. In terms of what Martin calls shenanigans and Marilyn and others of us have said was a gangster move, what happened was that, let me take a step back. This ordinance, which was sponsored by Alderman David Moore and co-sponsored by our Alderman Sophia King, and they have been awesome in pushing it forward. It started in 2019, and it went through all of the various administrative agencies, from Illinois Department of Transportation, CDOT, the City Department of Transportation, to make sure that they had what they needed. They made the compromises that were necessary to make sure that no residences would be affected. That's really important, because they have a lie going on the Gold Coast and across town that this drive would change residential addresses. It does not do that. It only affects 4 harbors, and one of them is already named DUSABLE Harbor as it is. It goes from 67 to the south to Hollywood on the north. And it's the outer drive. It does not affect the inner Lakeshore Drive at all. So that's one of the lies that continues to be perpetuated by various alderpersons and spread around the city. That's one of the shenanigans. Okay. The other was that when it was at the push to keep it from coming before the Transportation Committee to get a vote. That was difficult to do. They had last year promised that it was going to come to a vote in January. Then they pushed it to April. And finally in April, on the day of the vote, the mayor's lawyers came in with a secondary amendment, alleging that there was just legalese that would change the put it in a legal framework what the ordinance actually did. But when you looked at it closely, which they didn't have time to do because it just hit the alderperson's desk that morning right before the hearing, you find that it referenced going all the way to 90th, 95th, and all the way to Evanston, which would have included a bunch of addresses and requiring changing of it, which had nothing to do with the ordinance. Alderman Moore refused to accept that, yet there was still great discussion allowed on it and debate allowed on it until the very end of the hearing, until everyone had their say on an amendment that had not even been accepted by the original maker of the ordinance, which meant that the hearing on that was illegal in the first place. Finally, it was called for an oral vote in the Transportation Committee, which is chaired by Alderperson Howard Brookins, and it came out unanimously out of the Transportation Committee. There were no votes. So we fast forward, we continue talking to all the alderpersons for the full city council hearing on May 23rd. Is that right? And was it the 26th? Anyway, 26. The next full 26th. And for the full city council hearing, to where the ordinance was listed, it was all the way at the bottom. They waited until the end of a 4-hour meeting. Almost 4 hours had expired before they called it up. And when they did so, Alderman Brookins called up the ordinance, and Alderman Sophia King had her hand up to ask for a roll call vote. Alderman Moore was at the mic to ask for a roll call vote. The mayor, instead of recognizing the makers of the ordinance, recognized Alderman Brian Hopkins out of the 2nd Ward, and he asked for a deferral and publishing, which is a parliamentary maneuver as long as they get a second alderperson. And that second alderperson stood up, who was Alderman Roboy Russ out of the 30th Ward, and a surprise to Alderman Moore, because he thought that he was a friend, one of our Hispanic brothers. And as a result of those two asking for a deferral and publication. There was no debate on it. The alderman ruled that there was no debate, although Alderman Brookins was there and trying to get and speak and be heard. Alderman, they cut off his mic. Further shenanigans. Cut off his mic. He could not be heard. So he's standing on the floor, voiceless, yelling, trying to be heard. Alderman Sophia King is voicing her the fact that she said her hand was raised and she was not first. Her hand was raised first and she was not being recognized. The mayor was in charge and she refused to recognize Sophia King, refused to recognize that her hand was up, went to the Alderman Brian Hopkins from the north side in the 2nd Ward and heard him first. And in so doing, that automatically meant that it was an immediate stopping, tabling of the vote on that ordinance, delaying it until they can, first of all, publish it in the city council journals. Secondly, so that they would send notification of the bill to all the alderpersons. And then thirdly, they would put it on the unfinished business for a month away for the next full city council meeting. So the bill is not dead, but it is delayed. And of course, as it's always said, justice delayed is justice denied.
Wow, that was very elaborative. When in your explanation to what you meant by shenanigans, and so thank you so much for breaking that down. As a radio platform, as a community radio platform, our job and one that is very interested in helping build our community the right way, we try to bring some of these issues out. We will be reaching out to the mayor's office as to their response to this. It's only fair. However, we do have the BHM coalition team now who are giving us an account as to what happened and what is going to happen when it comes to renaming Lakeshore as DUSABLE Drive. I'm tempted to say DUSABLE Lakeshore. It's such a now that takes us to the question of Lakeshore being a very popular name, seemingly, right? That's a neutral name, seemingly. It is not necessarily in the center of Chicago. Please prove me wrong if that is the case. So why choose Lakeshore Drive and not any other street? And I would like EPHRAIM to respond to that. I will come to you in a short while, Mello.
Yes, but let me say this, and again, Marilyn has been one of the powerhouse behind this movement, so I trust that she will be able to get back on. But let me say this, it is important to have Lakeshore Drive because one, downstairs, when you see down there by the Navy Pier, below, not too far away, is where Jean-Baptiste started DUSABLE. In 1830, there was to be, when the first time that street was given in the name of individuals. This DUSABLE should have been the first person to be given a street. But instead, it was given to Jefferson, Washington, and the person who purchased DUSABLE property, John Kinsey, who happens to be a murderer and one who should not even be considered. DUSABLE was not mentioned. Over the years, they have named avenues and First Street, First that, and all the numbered street in the name. They changed a lot of numbered street because street was then numbered. They changed them in the name of individual.
Martin, before you continue, you said it's a murderer, which we don't have preview of that information. What makes you say that?
Pardon?
You said that the person that bought the property of DUSABLE got a street name after him, and he was a murderer. Again, we don't have privy to that information. What makes you say that?
Well, because he was, and it is published, so we can go to the a Google and you can see it. But let me say, in addition to that street, to continue with street, I was talking about all the streets that were named in the name of white men. And at no point DUSABLE was given any chance, because why? He was a black person, and it was like illegal in those days, if you will, to have a black man, a street in the name of a black person. In fact, all the credits were given to Kedzie as the founding father of Chicago for a very long time. If you should go back into 1927, when another boulevard was to be named Field Boulevard was to be given, which is what we call Lakeshore Drive. Field Boulevard was to be given in the name of a person. DUSABLE should have been considered at that point, but instead it was given to another white man by the name of Erickson, and Leif Erickson, and DUSABLE was denied again there. In 1946, it was again supposed to be changed in the name of someone or something. DUSABLE again was not considered, although many people in those days would have wanted to see it, because it was not long after, it was about 11 years after the school was given in his name, and DUSABLE was not considered for that. It was given the name Lakeshore Drive. Now, we're saying in this time, when Black heroes matter, Black lives matter, everything that's Black matter and everyone's matter, we are saying it's time to correct the wrongs and give and heal the wounds of our city, and rename Lakeshore Drive as DUSABLE Drive to connect the East with the West. To, in other words, to connect the black, the brown, the yellow, the whites, and everybody as one. So giving Lakeshore Drive is a very significant step, and one that could help to heal the nation and to start the road to end systemic racism in Chicago, which will ultimately be healing systemic racism nationwide. But not just that. You ask, why Lakeshore Drive? Why not Lakeshore Drive, I would ask. And if you were to say, DUSABLE must have a street, he should, and by all means. But when you talk to the mayor administration, they would tell you that, yes, maybe he should, but there's nothing to give him. All the streets are taken. In other words, this is my land, DUSABLE must be saying. And they have street for the Kenzie, they have street for the Kennedy, they have street for all the Columbus and the Kenzie and the Cicero and the Ashland and all the rest, but they have nothing for me. And it's my land. So we are saying, if there's no other street to be renamed because it's impossible, we spoke to the mayor administration about, okay, you don't want to give him Lakeshore Drive, give him Michigan Avenue. And they went crazy. They said, oh, no, Lakeshore Drive would be easier than Michigan Avenue. No, we can't do that. And how about State Street? No, we can't change those. The alternative would be Lakeshore Drive. But if they do that, then the rich people and the Gold Coast going to cry out and say, we don't want the black name in our side. So we are saying, in order to stop systemic racism, because if you're going to give DUSABLE street that goes from a Madison going south, you're not doing anything to heal the wound and to stop systemic racism. If you're going to give him a street on the far west, it's not doing anything to reverse and to stop systemic racism and to correct the wrong. We're not just about DUSABLE, we're about correcting the wrongs of the systemic racism that's been affecting Chicago. Chicago is said to be the most racist city in the country. And how can you correct that? What do you have to correct that? How can you start? You start with Lakeshore Drive, renaming Lakeshore Drive right on the coast to DUSABLE Drive, which is bridging the gap, as some of us would say, bridge the gap between the north and the south, and bring us all together as one people. And we must fight for that. And the people who are listening, especially from your area where you have the 46th ward, we needed to call the 46th Ward Alderman and all the other person between now and the next full city council vote and let them know that you need them to vote yes for the DUSABLE drive to heal the city and to stop the division.
Wow. Thank you again for
Alinco, if I can follow up on your initial question.
yes.
John Kinsey murdered an individual named Jean Lalime, like Lalime. He was a native of Quebec. He moved to Chicago in 1792. He was an agent for a fellow Canadian named William Burnett, and he was stabbed by John Kinsey in, what was it, 1812 on February 17th. Lalime and Kinsey got into an altercation that resulted in Kinsey stabbing Lalime to death, and Kinsey fled to Milwaukee. Kinsey is the one who initially had been named as the founder of Chicago, and in the historical society in our museum, his daughter had been identified as the first child born here, when actually it was Eulalia, the granddaughter of Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE. And they think that the reason Kinsey stabbed Lalime was because Kinsey had this sweet deal with the army, and that the soldiers should only purchase their trade with Kinsey's company. And Kinsey was the one who had brought DUSABLE's property and went into his trading post. And so he got a deal with the commander of the soldiers. And Lalime was trying to break into that deal for his supervisors. And Kinsey says, it was a matter of self-defense, but that he was really, according to NBC, and on March 5th, 2013, is this write-up. They really think that it was because Lalime was trying to break up this sweetheart deal that Kinsey had for selling weapons and goods to the soldiers.
Wow. Thank you for helping us get more detail in that information. I hope my team can provide us the link you just maybe read that information from, so we can post it so everyone can have preview to it. If you can also share that link just to shove it, that will help a lot, so we can so the public can have access to it. We are talking about BHM, Black Heroes Matter, and we are meeting with the leading team of the coalition. We have the chairperson, EPHRAIM Martin, the co-chairperson, Justice Shelvin Louise, retired, and TREMELL MELLO Williams, who is also the chairperson of the entertainment section, or entertainment/youth section of the coalition. MARILYN, who has the communication, is not able to continue the discussion this afternoon because I think her network has been getting issues. She's actually out of the country. I guess that's what she was saying. And so I think that's probably the reason why. Again, this is the #1 community building show in Chicago. Actually, we know that it's in the world. There's none like here, where we focus on community building. And so we bring you topical issues like these to deliberate on. So we encourage you all to share the feed. If you're watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube, please remember to pass your comments on this, ask questions if you want on the feed as well. The number to call if you want to is 815. We encourage you, is 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. When we come back, I would like Mello to add to what we have been discussing so far. Looks like the Lakeshore Drive campaign to be renamed to DUSABLE Drive is not just a physical demand in honor of DUSABLE, but also a spiritual connection, when it comes to race in the city. And so we'll be right back. after the short break. Just bear with us. We shall be right back.
Check out this beautifully made artistry of coffee tables made from a combination of recycled tires, jute ropes, wood, and fabric to suit your style. Yes, we make to order. These coffee tables can help you make a statement in your bedrooms, offices, and living rooms. But remember, we only ship within the USA and Canada after shipping cost is paid. Call Jasper Designs on 1-306-203-2650 or email us at doduyayra@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Jasper Love or follow Pearl Yara Agboka on Facebook. Don't be left out. Please place your orders now.
Well, we're back on the show. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Progressive Mind Show. The time right now is about 2:22. No, it's almost 3 p.m. 3 p.m. CST, and we're talking to the coalition, the team, the leading team of the Black Heroes Matter movement coalition. And so please make sure that you are supporting. We also encourage you to visit our website, thepmsshow.com. You can also type the Progressive Mind Show on Google. It will pop up. We need your contributions, donations. We are a non-for-profit organization, and we encourage you to support us. Our Cash App ID is $SENAALINCO. $SENAALINCO. Whatever contribution you help us with goes a long way in assisting us to keep coming your way every Wednesday and Sundays with topical issues such as this. For those who have joined us so far, we want to thank you. And the conversation continues with the coalition team. I want Mello to respond to what has been discussed so far. I don't know if we missed you missed a comment that you wanted to pass, Mello, during the discussion. If not, I would want you to tell us some of the strategies that you think you can implement to engage the youth more, because their energy is what we need, that exuberance in to help with this coalition.
Right. Well, I can actually address both a little bit. As far as why Lakeshore Drive, I think Mr. Martin obviously touched on it. Initially it was Columbus Drive we were pursuing. He did mention some of the rebuttals that we got from the administration, in addition to some of the other streets that we put on the table. Also think about around the time when we were proposing this. This was right after George Floyd. This was around the time when there was issues with the Columbus statue, and things of that nature. So we understood why those particular streets were off the table, but we still haven't had any justification for why Lakeshore Drive is a no-go, as opposed to people are saying that it's too much of a legendary street, that a lot of people just don't want to change. Justice did allude or address earlier how there's a lot of misconceptions in the media, and how the administration is pushing the narrative that it'd be too costly, it'd be too expensive. I think they quoted a number of 2.5 or something like that, which is false. Like I said, we were there. We won a cause where I died and C died and things of that nature. The amount of personal residences that will be affected is minute in comparison to the amount of residences that there are in the city of Chicago. Also, we recognize that only a few hundred businesses will be affected by the actual address change. So it has been no real reason or no real logical reason why the founder of the city can't have Lakeshore Drive, right? Why it should not be DUSABLE Drive. So we've been back and forth with the administration for almost the past year dealing with that particular issue. So I just think more so, if you want me to be frank, I think that behind closed doors, the mayor ideally would like for the founding father to be honored. Obviously, that's why she's presented her own proposal. Right. But I think that she personally is trying to save face, right? I don't know if she's expecting to be reelected. I don't know what her motive is, but I think that she's trying to save face and trying to please her counterparts and the voters on the North Side, who, quite frankly, to be honest with you, is her niche market, was her niche audience for her running. So I completely I kind of understand why she's operating in the way she is, but I've always preached to her and to administration about legacy, right? I've always preached how, for lack of a better words, that if I were her, I would want to be on the right side of history, right? I would want history to reflect that, hey, I was the first quote unquote African-American mayor of the third largest city in the world, one of the most popular cities in the world, the third largest city in the country, I'm sorry, and which is also one of the most popular cities in the world. And I had the opportunity and the power to honor Chicago's founding father, who was a Black man, like, same skin, right, as her. I had the opportunity to give him his just due honor. I was approached during my administration with the injustices, and I had the opportunity to help something manifest that could be a domino effect, right? That's going to tie into your next question. That can be a domino effect that can, as Justice mentioned earlier, that can inspire the youth, right? That can inspire generations to come. When I was young, I didn't know who DUSABLE was. I did fortunately learn about DUSABLE when I got to high school and things of that nature, finding out about the DUSABLE Museum, etc. But I would honestly say that it wasn't a lot of information or a lot of material or even coursework that was presented to us in school in relation to DUSABLE. Actually, I don't think there was any. I think I found out about DUSABLE just from being in the community and things of that nature. So that's one aspect. We are education, right? We do have an education aspect of our coalition, who's they're actually working on developing a curriculum that can be implemented potentially in the CPS schools, which is actually something that when we had the conversation with the mayor, that was something that we mentioned to her, and it's something that she was in full support and agreement with, which she probably still is. But that would be one of the things. We think that we have to have tangible things that the youth can look at and see in reality, even before we even put it in the history books or even implement a curriculum. I think that would be the very first step as to getting the youth, putting a fire under the youth. That's just my personal opinion, because youth has a lot of distractions right now, and I don't think they will see the value in it until the street is renamed, until they see some tangible change that they can see. Because you gotta understand, I'm 33, right? And I'm around a lot of younger people, have been around. And frankly, with younger people, they have to see it to believe it. It's just factual, because, and you have to understand, and one of the reasons why they're the fire behind the most recent movement and most recent renaissance that's happening in this country is because they've been for years and years and years throughout their lifetime, as well as learning their history about their parents and their grandparents and etc. They've been years and years, they've been seeing us been denied justice. They've been seeing us denied opportunity. They've been seeing us lied to for so long as to the promises that the government has made us, as well as politicians, etc. So I just think a lot of them don't have faith in the system. And until they see some real change from this mayor and this administration, I think that would actually inspire them for other avenues to be created to honor Chicago's founding father with their input, though, right? Because I think the administration now, once we lit the fire, they've taken our initiative and they've come up with their own things that they want to do to honor Chicago's founding father, which is great and awesome. But I think they're still neglecting to incorporate the community. And we are the community in that aspect, but they're neglecting to involve us even in that process, right? Even now, from our, and I won't just say give us all the credit, because, like I said, George Floyd happened, then the Columbus statue happened, etc. But out of that, and us adding to that, how should I say, us adding to that, a rising awareness about DUSABLE, that made the administration go and create something called the Chicago Monuments Project, right? where they're identifying different monuments and sculptures around the city, right, that are questionable or that may be causing chaos amongst groups in the city, right? We all like that's why the Columbus statue was removed, because a lot of the indigenous people have disapproved of it, right, and said that he, you know, the history of who this man is and what he contributed does not resemble someone that should be honored, right? So out of that uproar, they've created this monument council, and to be honest with you, they've neglected to actually they've offered it, but they've neglected to offer us a prominent space and a prominent voice within that community. And I think that's a big injustice. And I think moving forward, if they really we really want to have real change, and we really want to see real progress, that we're going to have to actually involve the actual community of youth from the South Side, from the West Side, Black, brown, and white. We're going to have to involve them. But I think that fire will not be lit until we rename Lakeshore Drive to Junior Baptiste Point DUSABLE Drive. We need something tangible, right? Not just promises, because as Mr. Martin has said, we're not the only group, right? We're not the first group to try to get honor for the founding father. Hopefully we won't be the last, but hopefully we'll be the last for this particular initiative. Hopefully another group that'll come about will want to honor someone else either from another city, right? That was one of the whole objectives of this coalition, that this is something that can spearhead, that can become a national movement for other people of color who have not been honored in their territories that they founded, or territories where they committed, where they committed great value to whatever the situation is, and they haven't been justly honored. Wow. So that's essentially what we want to happen. But it has to start somewhere, and we know renaming Lakeshore Drive would be the administration deciding to be on the right side of history, right? And that's just how I feel about it. Wow,
that's great. I'll say, explanation, and really it's insightful to hear from you, Mello, as a youth, having this in-depth knowledge about the city, and sounding very inspiring in your I'll say response to these matters, and to the entire coalition that inspires a lot of youth. And I just want to say kudos to what you've been doing so far, Mello. Now, so do I take it that the Kinsey Street in downtown was named after this Kinsey we are talking about, Justice Shelvin?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's the Kinsey. That's the Kinsey, and that's what Martin was talking about. That man, who did not deserve the honor. The man who got Baptiste DUSABLE's home, and he had to do that under subterfuge. That man who killed Lalim, and he did that, trying to secure business.
And Lalim is supposed to be
that's the victim. Jean Lalim was the victim that he murdered. He stabbed.
He's a black man?
No.
He was? Okay. Okay, this is just a victim of...
He was from Canada. Kinsey was a white man. Lalim was a white man.
Okay.
From Canada.
All right.
But the point being that Kinsey, who was a ruffian, did not deserve the honor that rightly belonged to Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE.
Let me ask.
He benefited from DUSABLE's work.
Right.
And they put him up as a founder for the longest kind of time. EPHRAIM and I once went to the Chicago Historical Museum, and there in our museum, was a whole display to John Kinsey. And he is the one whose bones I believe are buried in the Historical Museum, and he's the one who was given credit. But they finally changed it over to according to that DUSABLE was the actual founder, but it took him a long while to do so.
Thank you. So let me get this. You've given us a very great understanding of how John Baptiste, discovered Chicago. But let me just follow up with this, Martin. So when just so we can have a clearer understanding of the history. So when he arrived at what we now call Chicago, what was the name then? Were there any native Indians residents here at all? Was there a vast amount of land? Was it an island? How was that?
Yes. So so there were a people here, the Indians, well, we would rather to call them the indigenous people,
right,
were here, and they were scattered, but they were scattered throughout the Indiana and of course Illinois land, from Peoria coming all the way into the lakefront. But there was no form of business operation. There was no form of commerce or anything like that. So by the riverside, well, I would rather to say by the river, by the river and the lake, where he started his trading post, and he befriended the indigenous people, and the indigenous people befriended him. Of course, one of them became his wife, and they started supporting him. So he was selling his fur and other goods, and people started moving in not long after around the area and start building the community, the village, if you will, at that time, which grew to be what it is now, Chicago.
So, yes. So before,
by virtue of the color of his skin, he was not given the respect
and recognition. I wanted to ask you, prior to him coming here, so history has it that he migrated, or he originally came from Haiti, right?
That is correct.
Now, was he an established businessman in Haiti? What was his status?
Well, he was, of course, he was a mariner. His parents were more so business oriented. He was in Louisiana, and from New Louisiana, worked his way up to Illinois, Peoria primarily, and then from there, journey down the river to what I would consider in those days, although it was by the river, it was in the bushes. The bushes where he, alongside the river, where he started his operation. And of course, the rest is history.
Okay.
That we're talking about now. So I did not mean that he was a black man. We wouldn't be here talking today.
Yes.
You'd be hearing about the Saba street, you'd be hearing about the Saba everything.
Before you continue, Martin, I want to try to establish something here. Would you say that BHM, Black Heroes Matter, kind of got the name from the Black Lives Matter movement? Is that like, an inspiration from that?
Well, it was an inspiration following the death of George Floyd, and the Black Heroes Matter leading the charge of what all that was going. And of course, we get up and we said we must do something about it, and we started the movement. But then Justice Alden said, okay, let's it be Black Heroes Matter. Okay. And then we said, okay, let's go along.
Yeah.
And
now we are here. So, right. Okay. So I want us to, one more thing that I want us to establish, and we can continue. Since how long has this coalition been working on getting these changes done that you were requesting of the city so far? Would you say over the course of a year?
Okay, so let me say it was about this time last year when we get going. The registration of the Black Heroes Matter came under Martins International as doing business as Martins International. So that it is powered by Martins International, not a foundation, non-for-profit organization.
Okay.
So it is under the umbrella of Martins International. Before our march and at that time, of course, yourself were in touch with you and others.
Yeah.
And some 20 other organizations kick off the movement, and we later on grew to what it is now, some 80 organizations in support, and businesses in support of the movement.
All right.
And there are several that other organizations that want to, but our resources and time did not allow us to reach out to all the organizations that wanted to support us. But there are lots of others that are in favor of the drive and what we're doing, although they may not have been registered officially as coalition member, but they are with us all the way.
Okay, another question. Another question with regards to this. Since then till now, what would you say is a composition of the support that you are getting, the larger coalitions, support from the community? I know, of course, he's a black man, and so the assumption is that, you know, of black folks, he's a black man from the Haitian community, right? And so would you say that you've gotten more support from the Caribbean community, the African American community versus the African community, and also the Caucasian community? How would you say the support from these segments of this group, different ethnic groups, has been since the inception till now?
Well, let me say, we have been getting support from all the region you mentioned.
Okay.
Of course, heavily from the African American, the Caribbean, and the Asian community, yes. And of course, we mentioned the African and the Hispanic Latin community. We're getting support from all these regions. But the good thing about it is that, yes, the Caucasian, they are very much in favor of it. The truth about it is they are very small. There's a small, maybe not more than 1% of the people in Chicago who would oppose it. And they are primarily, I'm going to say they are primarily from the Gold Coast. Because what the mayor had done since last Wednesday, I don't know if it was going on before, I knew it was going on with the second ward alderman. He was on a campaign to see how he could interrupt it, which he did at a coalition meeting, at the a full house meeting recently. And then since that, we now learned that the people on the Gold Coast, that 1% rich billionaires and millionaires on that coast, they would like to see it stop, maybe, because it's all about fear. You call a black man person, you know, long time ago, as a black person, I don't matter where you go in a white community, if you walk in a white community, they start looking at you differently. They're afraid, they're fear of a black person. And it happens too, even with what we're talking about. Some of those racists, if I must say, and some who cannot accept a black person are still there. There's a small percent of them. So we're not blaming whites. We're saying that there's a small percent of these people who are buried in their way and will not accept change. Let me not rule out our own people too. Okay. There is a small percent of our people who cannot see what we're talking about and cannot see the dream and cannot realize that in order to materialize the dream of people like Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the dream of Martin Luther King and other great men and women who have gone on before us, like we just talked about Earth Street, I.D.B. Wells and others. They fail to realize that this dream cannot be materialized with them, with their behavior, if I may cut it short.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. And again, I want to remind our listeners that we are talking about the Black Heroes movement, led by these great people that you're seeing right now. One of the guests on the flyer who was supposed to be on, one of the personalities who was supposed to be joining, who was supposed to be on the set with them. MARILYN May it's a little glitch here and there, so we're not able to have her. But you have been watching and listening to Justice Shelvin, Martin, and MELLO on the campaign to rename Lakeshore to DUSABLE Museum, who is the founder of Chicago. And if you want to call in to share your opinion or ask a question or contribute to what we're discussing, it's 815-277-5047. Also want to take the opportunity to wish my cousin Modestious Mode all the way in Ghana. It's your birthday. I wish you every good thing in life. And I know that Marilyn May, right? I think her birthday was today.
Today. She's celebrating her birthday today. And I want to say, it's a shame that we don't have her on, because she's one of the powerhouse. Marilyn Cafe Society. She is one of the powerhouses that is behind us, and you will hear every week in the city council pushing along with TREMELL Williams. Never stop. They are there every single week. There is a meeting calling for change and calling for Lakeshore Drive to be renamed Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE. They are calling for the 25-foot minimum monument. They are calling for a city holiday. So when they, and I just want to say, remind you of those of you who were with us on the 20th of December with the mayor. She said it. She did not know the history of Chicago, didn't know about this DUSABLE man. And I'm proud, I'm pleased to say that today she have learned a lesson. She have learned a lot. To the point where in February, she now said DUSABLE, who she didn't know about in December, in less than 2 months, became her #1 Black hero in America. She said it on national television. So our movements have been growing, and we're educating, and there are lots of people, millions of people around the world since we started, who are now learning about DUSABLE. Millions of people who did not know that there was a Black person who founded this great city. So we are making great progress in that respect. We are educating, we are teaching, and we are letting people know the history of Chicago who didn't know.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
when you look at, and if you go out there in the white community and the Black community, you realize that maybe 60% of them did not know who DUSABLE was, and that he founded Chicago.
No.
When you mention DUSABLE, you can do your own research. You can walk in any building and any place downtown and just at random ask, do you know DUSABLE, who he was? And see the percent of them who would say, yes, I know DUSABLE, and who didn't.
Yeah.
Just at random, you can do that. You know?
This is powerful. This is powerful. And I think that when it's all said and done, you guys, your team, all the people that have supported you, especially the visionary, you guys, Justice Shelvin, yourself, EPHRAIM, MELLO will go down in history as legends, definitely, because this is monumental, and it's not just for Chicago, but I think this represents Black people across the globe, and so and not just Black people, but humanity, right? And so this is very, very powerful. Justice Shelvin, I want you to maybe help us make this connection, right? So Chicago is known to be the city that has the most Black population in this country, right? When you talk about Cook County, but please correct me if I'm wrong. I know that Cook County has about 300,000 Black people, and which makes the city one of the largest place with Black concentration. Is that correct, Justice Shelvin?
It certainly is the one of the largest places in the country with Black population. We've been losing. In fact, at one point in time, back when I was running for election, Chicago was predominantly Black, but they made sure that Black people didn't know that, and so you didn't hear about it. Yeah, but it was at one point. But we lost a lot of population over the years.
Right. I wanted to connect it to something, and then you can respond. Okay, and with this information that you just given us. All right. So with a city having this much Black people, and the founder being a Black person, how is it that, and they also call it a diverse city? I mean, if you walk in this, if you are in the city of Chicago, you see all of that. How did it become so racially biased? Just like what EPHRAIM said, that it's one of the most racist city in the country. And so how is that with this many Black people? Can you tell us the history to this, and then maybe add anything else you wanted to add based off the comments that EPHRAIM and MELLO made earlier?
You want to know how Chicago became racially biased? in 3 short words, it started that way.
Started that way? Okay.
It started that way. And in fact, you have to look at the 2 great migrations from the South to the North. One in, I guess, would have been in the 30s and 40s, and then later on in the 50s and 60s. And that's when, that second migration, you'd have to get the historian Lemuel Black to tell this story best. And that's when our family moved up here from Texas. Other families came, straight up the Mississippi, from Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, and Arkansas is where most of the Black people who live in Chicago now came looking for a better way other than working under post-slavery, being sharecroppers in the South. And so, but arriving in this so-called Mecca, they found out that there was still segregation, and only it was northern segregation, sometimes more subtle, sometimes less. We've had our massacres of Black folks in Illinois and in Chicago, but it literally began that way in a segregated manner, that Black people were kept residentially segregated from white people. And so it ended up that there were mostly the Black people were on the South Side and then the West Sides of Chicago when the Jewish community moved out, and it kept them there. And then they built high rises that stretched the Robert Taylor housing for 4 miles long of high rises, nothing but Black people straight down the Dan Ryan Expressway. And my father, who was pastor of Friendship Baptist Church for 51 years, a very active civil rights activist. In fact, one of the only 2 churches on the West Side, 3, who would allow Dr. King to speak from his pulpit, said, "I stopped chopping cotton when I left Texas. I say who speaks from my pulpit, not Mayor Daley." And but that was one of the things that they were fighting for, was fair housing. And he invited Dr. King and Sister Coretta to live on the West Side to demonstrate the segregated conditions that Black people had to live in on the West Side of Chicago. And it was the same thing on the South Side, how bad the conditions were. So that's how it got segregated, and there were these biases, and people were kept out of the jobs. My uncle was a experienced carpenter, never could get into the carpenter union. You found others who had skills who could never get into the unions in order to make money. You found redlining, never could get the proper housing, even though they paid the monies. This was systemic racism at its finest. And it happened throughout the city of Chicago. It's still happening today, though the fair housing ordinances came in, though we had the organizations exemplifying and showing how this bias existed. It is what we have now is the result of what started then as segregation. It's still one of the most segregated cities in the country.
Wow. Okay, thank you again for a great response. And I want to ask this question so we can try and get a few things out before we wrap up. It's 3:30 p.m. CST here in the beautiful city, Chicago. We're going to be wrapping up again in the next 30 minutes, but we encourage you to share the feed if you're watching us now live on Facebook. We are also live on Twitter, Periscope. Okay, it is at Minds Show. On Twitter, it's at Minds Show. YouTube is a Progressive Mind Show. So please feel free to share the feed from these platforms. We know that a few people have been watching us. The ones we see, as I mentioned earlier, the names that we can only see are the ones that have commented to the show. So I know there are a lot of a lot of folks viewing right now, but we can only see these names that I'm putting on the screen. Great conversation from Bridget Amenyo. Thank you so much, Bridget, for chiming in. Rebecca Modi says, great job, Senna. We have this comment from Emmanuel DUSABLE should definitely be renamed and recognized. He is the founder of Chicago. This is from Dave IDD, Black Heroes Matter. So these are the only ones that I can see. These are the only names, as I mentioned. So please pardon me if I haven't mentioned your name. We want to take this question. We want to look at this. So Alderman Brian Hopkins claimed on WITW News that he had been inundated with complaints from residents of 7 buildings who do not want to have their addresses changed, forcing them to change legal documents and get new government issued identification cards if we were to have the name changed to DUSABLE Drive. That's why we had, and this is his reason for blocking the bill, blocking the vote on Wednesday. Well, you had mentioned something earlier in your response, EPHRAIM. I mean, do you all believe him? Yeah. Do you think that this is legitimate?
You know what?
Yeah.
The truth about it, he knows better. He knew everything earlier that there is no address changes. He was on the meeting when a alderman from the 42nd Ward agreed that he is with the bill since it's not, no addresses will be changed. That's the 42nd Ward alderman, who, by the way, has been always working to support DUSABLE in whichever way he could over the years. Hopkins knew that it doesn't include changing of address, but it's a rumor that his office is trying to spread for his own, maybe self-interest. I don't know why, but that's a blatant lie, if I must say. No addresses will be changed because we are only talking about the outer Lakeshore Drive, which no addresses, residential address will be changed. Okay. So let it be said, and please, for those people who are listening, call the Alderman's office and let him know, Mr. Alderman, you are wrong with your statement. There's no changes of address. Please go back and tell your people that no addresses will be changed. Please post it on your site to let them know that it will not include their addresses to be changed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Because when the people know the truth, they will know how to behave. They know the truth, they are okay. But when you feed them lies, there's another man who fed his people lies for months, and we see what happened.
Okay, now thank you.
So we're saying, tell the people the truth, let them know the truth so that they can make their own decision from the truth.
Thank you so much. And again, we encourage you all to share the feed. By doing so, you are helping, you are contributing to this historic movement. So it's very important. Share the feed on Facebook and on YouTube now. Again, we're also on Periscope, Twitter. It's at Mind Show. We have a comment from MARILYN. She says, love this conversation, important information for all of us. Thank you, MARILYN, for your contribution. Another question that I want us to look at, and I know you have touched it earlier, but let's look at it again. So the mayor suggested that a better way to honor DUSABLE and his wife, Kitty Hawa, a member of the
Potawatomi.
Okay, Potawatomi. Okay.
Tribe.
All right, thank you. Potawatomi tribe will be to complete the long delayed DUSABLE Park along the Lakeshore Drive, along the lakefront, and connected to Riverwalk, the Riverwalk renamed in DUSABLE's honor. She also stated the city will also host an annual DUSABLE festival to celebrate the legacy of DUSABLE and Kitty Hawa. She continued to propose that she made these proposals. Now, her proposal is going to be about 40. You mentioned $30 to $40 million. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Which is compared to the 2.5 million that you are asking for to erect. You are asking for if we were to erect the statutes for DUSABLE. Which one makes sense? Because it looks like what she's asking for is more money. More money involved in what she's asking. I mean, what she's proposing to be done for DUSABLE in his honor.
Okay, let me first say this. We have been in touch from our drive kicked off, especially since October, December. We have been constantly in touch with the mayor's office. What the mayor is doing, she accepted our proposal and putting it in her ways, how she wants it to be done.
Okay.
In other words, she's saying we're going to give you the monument, the large monument, but it's going to be on my term and how I want it to be done. Let me say, we welcome that additional offer of the 30 to 40 million, but that must be in addition to the DUSABLE drive. Let me say first, we must confirm the DUSABLE drive out the way. Then the proposal that she has made, it's only a proposal and talk right now. She needs to put it in writing. She needs to give a timeline for everything. She needs to most of all say whether or not it's included condominium for those rich people that's going to be built in that region, how it's going to affect that, how much of that money, if any, will be going toward those condominiums for the rich people, because those condominiums will have to go up before the park can be built. That was what was earlier said. I don't know if it's changed, but we welcome the funding for the monument for the DUSABLE. We want the a holiday. We want the park to be completed. And if there are other things that can be done, that she can have, like the walkway and all those things, that we welcome that.
Okay.
But we don't want to lose anyone to lose sight of the main objective, which is to rename Lakeshore Drive as Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE Drive. Please do not take your eyes off the prize. That's the big prize. And you must not take your eye off that prize, because that's what's going to help to get us where we want to go and to heal the nation, bring us together, and to start the road to end systemic racism. All the other things must follow, but the number one thing is renaming Lakeshore Drive as DUSABLE Drive now, next month, when it comes to the floor. And it must come to the floor. So we need to reach out to our elder person to make sure that they push that to the floor and let that vote go through next month.
What are we going to do to get more support, which is the next question? I mean, which is a question that I'm going to ask you all about. Let me go to Mello for now. Mello, so this proposal from the BHM, is it not going to affect if the address were to change? I mean, if the street were to be renamed after DUSABLE, is it not going to affect the what do you call it, Soldier Field, the planetarium, the Field Museum? You know, all those huge landmarks lie across the lake. Is not going to affect it at all? That is some of the argument from some people.
No, from my understanding, it would not affect it. Like I spoke earlier, that's one of the things, the narratives that's been pushed in the media from the administration.
Okay,
so that is incorrect in relation to the park in her proposal.
Wait, how is that? For a second, how is that? Because if you're going to say the Film Museum, I think that address, it has Lakeshore Drive address. Is that not correct?
No.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay. All right. Okay, please go ahead, Mello.
It does not. But in relation to the park and the mayor's proposal, we like Martin said before, we're all for her proposal, but we must stress that it's a complement, not a substitution for renaming of Lakeshore Drive and the other two initiatives that we have, which is building up a 25-foot of minimum monumental statue, and as well as the city holiday. People need to understand, like a lot of people don't even know that the DUSABLE has a day of observation, right? Meaning city council passed for a day of observation. Like I said before, we are not the first group or the first organization or coalition, whatever you want to classify us as, that has been fighting to give just honor for Chicago's founding father. So the park is, like I said, the park is supposed to have been built 30 years ago. You know, Hill Washington implemented that, and designated the actual space for that park to be built. And years and years has passed, you know, through the Daley administrations, through Rahm's administration, et cetera, and nothing still has not occurred, right? We do know they've secured funding for recently. but nothing else has been done. And we're preaching that we don't want to wait. We can wait, right? We've been waiting. DUSABLE was waiting over 200 years, right? To be honored justly in some way. But if we're just going to speak about the park, we've been waiting over 30 something years and nothing still has been done. So how do we have confidence to say that, hey, we'll agree with your proposal, we'll go away, we'll do away with our initiatives and let you implement yours, when history has shown us that time after time and time after again, nothing has been done to honor this man, right?
Okay.
So it's a great compliment, but it's not a substitution. So and that's something we're not willing to bend on.
And if I may follow up with Mello there, you see, they are putting out their proposal. Last year, it was said that the park would, they may offer $5,000 at the time, and they said the park will be, it will take at least 5 years because they have to get the condominium built first. They have to get the building a condominium in the region, and that must be completed first. And the time span is a minimum of 5 years. Now, we are not here to wait 5 years. When we kick off this movement last year, we said it must be done within our time frame. We are expecting the street to be renamed before the ending of last year. The mayor delayed it until this time and keep kicking the ball down the road. And yes, this delay is delaying the renaming of DUSABLE is continue denying, like Justice Hall said, it's a continue denying the founder and father is respect. And this denial can go for a long time because they can come up with some other alternative which may force it to deny, that may force it to go another month and another month and another month. And we know the way city politics work. You know, so we are saying action now. And we need to step up our our game to make sure that they get the message. We need to get in on all the media and let our voice be heard of what we're talking about. And we want to also get in the media with the mayor if possible, so we can debate this properly and we can know where she's going, because she just threw this out the air, bam, without any real plan being outlined to the people. When she was asked about that, she said she will be coming up with her plan soon. You know,
Justice Shelvin, thank you so much, Martin. Would you say that the work of the BHM has been your biggest challenge in your entire career? Okay. All right, great.
It is. Thank you. It has certainly been a challenge in my career, but I could hardly say it's the biggest. I've served, as I said, in the courts for some 30 years and dealt with cases, you know, small cases and huge ones and monumental ones, and they've had wide and long-ranging effects. This is certainly something. Since my retirement, it is the biggest thing that has happened, and it's very, very important, I think, for the entire city of Chicago. Indeed, as Mello has said, as an example to the rest of the nation, to that Black people and all others recognize the importance of the donation and the contributions of our heroes. And so certainly this is really huge and should never be minimized about the importance of it and how important it is.
Okay.
So it's certainly significant and certainly highly significant in my career.
But not the biggest. Okay. So now that we're talking about your long-time career, long-time reputable career, would you want to share maybe one that you would say, okay, this one was my biggest challenge as a judge?
Well, well, I've had many challenges. I mean, I was challenged by Martin Luther King when he visited our church, and back when I was a young girl, that was one of the incentives for me going to law school and becoming a civil rights lawyer. Which I became subsequently. I met him in my dad's study, shook his hand, and he wanted to know how I was, and I told him that and my dad said, "Do you know who this is?" And I said, "I was young and kind of dumb, but I knew a king when I saw one." And he shook my hand and said, "Louise, how are you?" And I wanted him to know, that I was fine. And he went on and spoke, and I wanted to become one of those drum majors for justice, and so that's why I became active in the civil rights movement. Both of my parents were, and I became a civil rights lawyer before, and then subsequently worked on the Hill with Congressman Mickey Leland, and subsequently became general counsel to the Illinois Department of Human Rights. So there's been that consistency there. Yeah. I've had major cases, and don't necessarily want to go into the details of them, but if they look up my name on Google, they'll see that some of my cases, have had broad political ramifications.
Okay.
But certainly this has been one of the monumental pieces that we've been involved in. I was involved, for example, in getting handicap access on CTA buses when I was general counsel for the Department of Human Rights. All of those cases were dealing with employment and housing and public accommodation and sex discrimination. So it had broad impact on the people in Illinois.
Yeah.
Many cases and too many really to relate to here.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. It gives some of us first-hand understanding or background and first-hand insight to your work, some of the challenges you face, and all these cases that you've dealt with, and what is at stake. Because the essence of all this is, I mentioned earlier, and we have been talking about, is for the entire human race. This will go down in history. Go down in history as one of the huge achievements of the BHM coalition. And so we know that we are hoping that the coalition will be successful, considering the surmountable challenge that you are facing right now. The mayor would have to sign this, but if this challenges is what you're currently dealing with, plus you mentioned the people that live by Gold Coast, some of the millionaires and billionaires, they live right by this area where when this name change happens, was going to affect them one way or the other. It's going to affect them one way or the other. Let's not say it will affect them directly, but let's say their claim is that this is going to affect them one way or the other. So it poses a huge challenge. And we're looking at how this team will be able to brace through that. And I think that goes to my question. I was just trying to reiterate what we're discussing. How do you all think? What makes your coalition different from everyone that has tried and failed in achieving this specific goal, which is renaming or recognizing DUSABLE the right way, especially renaming Lakeshore after him? Let me ask that question there, EPHRAIM, Martin.
Yes, so let me say, our movement is different. It's a different time. This is a time, it is a Black people time, it's a Black Lives Matter time. It's a time when people are not afraid anymore. They are not afraid for the police. They are not afraid for anyone anymore. They are coming out to speak their mind. It's a wake-up time for America. And we are saying, in the earlier time, people they were not as bold and brave as some of us today to stand up for their rights as they should. But we are saying now, and especially this Gen Z we are having now, they are not afraid. They are ready to speak out. And with what happened to George Floyd, set us on the part that we say we can't look back. And the young people, old people, everyone are saying, we care, we must stand up. We must end systemic racism. Cause it what it will, we must end systemic racism. So the time is different.
Okay.
And we are standing up and say, not tomorrow, not another 10 years, but now. We want change. And the change that we, the Black US Matter Coalition, are asking for are one, to end systemic racism, police brutality, and also to make sure that the people who are overlooked in our society, in our country, can now be recognized. Those who hide behind the scene. And you know, the amount of things established in this country by Blacks, and most of our young people just didn't know that it was all these things, the lights and everything that you're seeing were done by, or established and founded by, or started by Blacks. Well, we are here to educate also and to step back into history and to make sure that the people who were behind the scenes and are hidden in the dark can come to light. And the Black US Matter can help to bring them to light, starting with Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE in this city of Chicago, who so many people still don't know he was the founder of Chicago.
Thank you so much. We have about 6 minutes to end the program, but quickly, Mello, what makes you hopeful of success this time and why?
Repeat the question for me. What makes you
hopeful?
In relation to victorious, in relation to right. Well, one thing, to be honest with you, I think Martin touched on it. I think it's just the timing of everything. I think just the time that we're living in now, and that's one of the reasons why I'm always preaching the mayor legacy. Right, legacy is important. Right, what are you leaving behind to let people know that you were here? That's number one. And what change have you made while you were here, especially if you were in a position to incite change or to bring change, whether it's to your family, whether it's to your community, whether it's to mass population as a whole. And so I think that, number one, the mayor has showed us that she cares about legacy because she, for one, is opposing it, right, in the public eye, but she has affirmed to us privately that she's in agreement with honoring Chicago's founding father, and she's in agreement with a few of our initiatives, right? So that's number one, because her actions are showing us that she cares about her legacy, because she, for lack of a better word, is covering her tracks, and she is doing what she feels is in the best interest of her legacy, right? However, I want her to look past that and to recognize that she has an opportunity with the timing. I don't think in my lifetime that I will ever see another opportunity realistically where we can cause great change on a mass scale that can domino effect into other things. With something as little as renaming a street after a man that deserves to have the street renamed after him, right? And then what other alternative can she offer us, right? She can't offer us Columbus Drive. She can't offer us Congress, obviously. That's been changed, right? So what other street for the founding father, right? We're not talking about Gwendolyn Brooks or Phyllis Wheatley or somebody like that who had great impact, but they primarily occupied a portion of one side of the city, right? We're talking about the man who established the precedents for business here. He was the first person to establish commerce. He was the first entrepreneur, if you would say so, right? So it's no other alternative. What other alternative can she offer us that would be equal or greater to honor Chicago's founding father? Right. So I think that eventually, like Mr. Martin said, we do have work to do. And I think most of our work is educating people and making them aware of this issue. Not just here in Chicago either. And we have support for all over. We have a lot of Caribbean support. We have support in Africa for this. We have support in other states. But we have to, like you said, get in the press as much as we possibly can. We have to even if we have to come up with marketing strategies, whatever we have to do to educate people, to let them know that this is an issue. This is something that needs to be addressed, to make them aware of who Baptiste, who DUSABLE is. So for that reason, I think the time that we live in would yield us a victory. And I think that the mayor eventually will recognize that once she hears more and more voices that's calling for the just due honor of Chicago's founding fathers. So that's what I would say. I think we're living in a time period that where it's on our side, where favor is on our side. That's what I
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are just 2 minutes away. We'd like to bring the show to our end, but we can't do that without having our guests close us with your last remarks. It has been very informative, inspiring so far. So we will let Justice SHELVIN give us her closing remarks and tell us the way forward. Justice SHELVIN, in your closing remarks, what should we do now?
Opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for having us. And thanks to Mello and Marilyn and all Yolanda and Eric and all of the others who have spent their time and supporting us in this fight, in this battle. I want to make 3 points. Number one, they keep saying that Lakeshore Drive is iconic, and yes, it is iconic because it's at the front of the city, right by the river. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. And that's the very reason why it should be named Jean-Baptiste DUSABLE Drive, because it is fabulous and beautiful. And that is exactly what Jean-Baptiste Pointe DUSABLE was. He was a hero, and a Black hero. And we all know that Black is beautiful. He deserves this drive for that very reason, that it's iconic and representative of the city of Chicago. Secondly, the fact that there are those who are arguing, and it has been reported that the mayor has indicated that she won't be able to market the city if the drive is renamed after DUSABLE. Anyone and others have made that same argument, that it would somehow reduce the value of the city of Chicago or the other corporations. Others have made that argument. That is an example of systemic racism, to say that because a street or anything is named after a Black person, that reduces the value of it. That is not so. And we need to stand up very proudly and say that is not so, that things can be named in the name of Black people and prosper, because we are a prosperous, entrepreneuring people and will benefit the city of Chicago. And the third and last thing is, everyone under the sound of my voice, if you will please call your alderperson today, anytime, call their office and tell them, yes, please support the renaming of Lakeshore Drive, the outer Lakeshore Drive, to DUSABLE Drive. Call them, call the mayor, tell them that you're in support, and stand up to show that Black heroes matter and the renaming of this would be for the good of the city and indeed for the nation.
Thank you so much, Mello. I know you just spoke, but we'll still give you the opportunity to close us. I'm sorry. I think your mic. Yeah, go ahead now.
I don't want to be redundant. I think Justice closed it out as far as moving forward, what actions that we would need and what type of support we would need. Calling on your alderpersons and telling them to vote yes. The next city council meeting, I believe, is June 23rd, which is when where supposedly should be voted on. Hopefully, there's no more maneuvers from the administration, but that's when it's supposedly going to be voted on. Also, we ask that everyone please visit us to support, because we do have a petition. We do have a GoFundMe. We do have a fund to raise, which is primarily for to raise money to build the monument or the statue. Which the city claims, that they have no funding for whatever reason. So please visit blackheroesmatter.org, Black Heroes Matter, no S, blackheroesmatter.org, as well as you can email us at bheroesmatter@gmail. BHEROESMATTER at Gmail, as well as Black Heroes Matter, BLACKMATTER. I'm sorry, Black Heroes, BLACKHEROESMATTER.org. BlackHeroesMatters.org. You can contact us there if you want to support, or even if you are a person, an individual person, or either organization that may want to be involved in this initiative. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Brother Mello, Justice Shelvin, Louis Mary Hall, retired, who's the co-chairperson of BHM. EPHRAIM Martin, I think his line just dropped, the chairperson of BHM, Mary Hall, Mary May. I'm just sorry. I just want to make sure I got the name right. Is it Marilyn May? Marilyn May. Kudos to you wherever you are. Happy birthday to you again. Another happy birthday to my cousin, Modesios Mode. We pray for a long life for you all. To my great audience who have been with us, we've got great support today for the BHM movement. We hope that you will continue to support the movement. As they mentioned, 23rd of June is when this case will be heard at the City Hall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. And so they're asking you all for your support. They are on social media. They also give you the website out. If you're looking for how you can support, it's very easy. If you Google Black Heroes Matter, all the information you need about them will pop up. If you reach out to the Progressive Mind Show as well, we can point you to them for any type of support or assistance that you would like to give them in order for them to achieve their goals, which is naming Lakeshore Drive after the founder of the city, Jean-Baptiste Point DUSABLE. It has been great coming your way. We apologize for going over our time and also the glitch we had from the beginning, but all in all, it has been a great conversation. Justice Shelvin, Mello, thank you all for your time, and God bless you. We hope to do this again when everything is said and done. We are praying for success for you, and we are backing you with in any way that we can. All right. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Shout out to all our friends in Ghana.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to the motherland.
All right.